Hi everyone, alongside Mike Trossel, I'm Dave Giancola. Thanks for joining us again to celebrate another incredible decade of U.S. Opens. And what better way to start the 1960s than one of the most iconic celebrations in golf history, the visor toss.
Yeah, Dave, Arnold Palmer authored one of the greatest final round comebacks in U.S. Open history, erasing a 7-shot deficit to win at Cherry Hills.
And then 2 years later, Mike, the King seemed poised to win his second title, but was denied by 22-year-old Jack Nicklaus, who defeated Palmer in a playoff at Oakmont Country Club.
Yeah, Dave, then in 1964, Ken Venturi overcame heat exhaustion to win at Congressional. A year later, Gary Player completed the career Grand Slam, and in 1968, one of the most colorful personalities in the game, Lee Trevino, earned his first U.S. Open title.
An incredible decade. Let's kick it off in 1960 with Arnie inspiring an army at Cherry Hills.
The 60th United States Open Golf Championship on the Cherry Hills course at Denver with the snow-capped Rockies as the backdrop. Ben Hogan among the contenders starting the final round. Jack Nicklaus, brilliant amateur. Julius Boros, 52 champion. Suchak setting the pace. Jack Fleck, 1955 upset winner. Ted Kroll making a strong bid. The final day is one of the most exciting ever seen in the Open. As Suchak slips, Boros, Fleck, Jerry Barber, Dutch Harrison, Dow Finsterwald, and Nicklaus all threaten. Then out of the blue comes a thunderbolt. Arnold Palmer, the Masters champion, starting the last round 7 strokes behind Suchak, puts on a blistering rally. The man from the Pennsylvania Steel Regions ties the tournament record for 9 holes with a 30, scoring birdies on 6 of the first 7 holes. Then the leaders stumble. Hogan collapses with a 6 and 7 on the last 2 holes. Suchak surrenders to the pressure on the final round and finishes with a 75 that leaves him tied for 3rd place at 283. Surprise of the tournament is the young amateur Nicklaus. His 282 takes 2nd place. Then comes Palmer. From the edge of the last green, he rolls a chip right up beside the hole. Then Palmer drops the putt and tosses his cap in the air as he wins with a sensational last round 65 and a score of 280. An amazing triumph with the most sensational rally in Open golf history. The Oakland Hills Country Club at Detroit, the National Open Golf Championship, and a record crowd of nearly 20,000 for the final charge at the title. Champion Arnold Palmer out of contention as the last round starts. A new threat, Jack Cooper of Texas in a tie for 2nd with Bob Gilby of Florida. Gene Littler of California 3 strokes back. Sam Snead still chasing the one he can't win. And Doug Sanders of California, formerly a Georgia caddy, leading the way by 1 stroke. All of them after the most prized championship in golf. Jack Nicklaus of Columbus, Ohio, the only amateur threat hanging in contention. Ben Hogan, 4-time winner, now unable to keep up with the eager young newcomer. Gilby making a strong run at the title, chipping to the 14th green. And he draws a sharp bead on the cup. That'll give you an idea of the strain of this tournament. Playing the best golf of all on the last round, Littler. Considered a surefire champ when he graduated from the amateur ranks, his game went haywire for several years and he accomplished nothing much. But now he has it back under control, and he's got the title within his grasp as he heads for the last hole. Here's Cupid playing to the final green. Tabbed Golf Rookie of the Year, he rocketed up near the top with a 67 in the 3rd round. And the Texan finishes with a flourish. Gilby closes with a 71 for a score of 282, leader among those who have finished. But Littler is the man in command even after trapping his approach to this hole. That gives him a final round 68 and a total of 281. The only man left with a chance is Sanders. Doug makes a final effort to hold his chip shot for a birdie, but goes over the hole. That leaves Sanders a stroke away in a second-place tie with Gilby, and Littler is the champion. Right now, Gene feels as if he can use any club on top of the golf world. Record-breaking crowds at the United States Open Championship at Oakmont, Pennsylvania, near Pittsburgh. Gene Littler, the defending champion, surrendering his title. Phil Rogers, a new threat from California, challenging for the lead. Gary Player, the South African star, always a factor in the big championships. But the man giving favorite Arnold Palmer the real run for the money is young Jack Nicklaus from Ohio State. And here is Arnie himself, the favorite as usual, and living up to expectations. When they come to the finishing hole, Nicklaus is tied with Palmer for the lead, and the 22-year-old Husky, after a prodigious 300-yard drive, delivers a sterling approach shot. Nicklaus holds out for a 69 and a tournament score of 283, exactly the score with which Ben Hogan won here in 1953. And now Palmer comes to the home hole. A birdie here will win it for him. And so often he has come through in this situation. He gives himself a chance for it. This could do it, but he slides by the cup. So it's a tie for the title between Palmer and Nicklaus. That means an 18-hole playoff, and another big crowd comes out for the duel. It's a Palmer crowd. They call his galleries Arnie's Army now. Palmer tees off first. Now Nicklaus. To the surprise of the crowd, Nicklaus surges promptly into the lead, has a 4-stroke margin at one point, and is still 2 strokes ahead at the final hole. Then, after driving into a bad lie on the rough and pitching a safety shot out to the fairway, the rugged youngster plants a sound approach hole high on the green. Palmer's second is behind a trap, and his hopes of sweeping the Master, the Open, the British Open, and PGA are growing dim. Nicklaus can afford to putt cautiously, but it's not his nature, and he goes boldly for the hole. This is Palmer's last hope, and it's a slim one. When the ball misses the cup, Arnie walks up to it, taps it with one hand, and takes still another to hole out. Then he concedes the victory, picking up the coin with which Nicklaus has marked his putt. But the USGA officials point out that you can't concede a putt in stroke play. Everything must be holed out to be counted. So Nicklaus goes back to tap the ball into the hole. It's a mere formality. Jack Nicklaus wins with a 71 to Palmer's 74, and his first victory as a professional is the biggest of all, the U.S. Open Championship.
Near gale winds sweeping over the Massachusetts countryside offer an additional hazard in the U.S. Open at the Brookline Country Club. No player is even close to par as they wind up at the 72nd hole. But veteran Julius Boros is among the leaders. He won the Open in 1952, and now, 11 years later, he has this putt to sink for a 293 that would keep him in the running. Close on Boros' heels is Arnold Palmer, another former Open title holder. Arnie needs this 5-footer for a par 4 and a tie with Boros. Now it's a two-way tie, with still another finisher to be heard from. The third man is Jackie Cupid, a 23-year-old newcomer to the tourney circuit. He just misses a birdie that would have given him the title. and has to try for a par 4. It was the breaks of the game for Cupid, and now the title will rest on an 18-hole playoff round. They turned in the highest Open scores in 28 years, but they're still in the running. The next day, Boros gives a calm, steady performance, and as he approaches the 18th playoff hole, he's a stroke under par. This is 3 strokes better than Cupid and a full 6 better than Palmer. They can't catch him now, and the 43-year-old Boros takes the $18,000 first money and becomes the oldest golfer to capture the Open title. This prize money puts him second to Palmer among the year's top money winners, but the old-timer won $1 million in prestige.
It was a week that it was so hot, and I only played 2 9-hole practice rounds. I played 9 holes on Tuesday and 9 holes on Wednesday. So I went up and I went into the locker room, and they called a doctor. When John Everett came to me in the locker room, I was laying down by my locker. I was gone. And he gave me salt tablets and a lot of water from dehydration, and he has told the story, which I don't remember. He said, I recommend you don't go out. It could be fatal. And he said that I said to him, well, it's better than the way I've been living. I was dead broke. I had nowhere to go. And God is my witness. I do not, to this day, I still don't remember leaving the locker room or going to the first tee or hitting the tee shot in the afternoon. I don't remember the front 9 holes. I don't know any shots. I don't remember anything of it. And then I got to the 18th hole, and I said to a friend of mine, Bill Holly, who I've known since I was just a teenager, and I said, how do we stand? He says, just stay on your feet. We got it 1. And when I hit the putt, I had pushed it, but it was the right speed. It wasn't going very fast. I pushed the putt. And that's where I lost my composure. I looked at the putt going, and I just watched it, and the putt turned back left and went in the hole. And that's when I raised my hands and said, my God, I won the Open. I went in to sign my card, and I couldn't sign my card because the only way I could lose the Open now is to sign the wrong card. And Joe Dye, the hand comes on my shoulder and says, sign the card, Ken, it's correct. And fate has a way of bending the twig and fashion a man to his better instincts. And if I had won the Masters as an amateur in '56, there probably would never have been an Open.
And now the Open comes down to the final hole. Gary Player and Kel Nagle are tied. Here's Nagle coming up to 18. He's putting from 20 feet for a birdie. 1 inch short. And Kel taps it in for a great 69 and a 282. Now he must wait for Player. There's nothing more that he can do. 72 holes, and it all hinges on 1 putt. This 25-foot putt to win the Open. He doesn't do it. A par 4. Gary Player and Kel Nagle have tied at 282. There'll be an 18-hole playoff tomorrow. The first tee, off they go. The last foreigner to win the Open was Ted Ray of England in 1920. Nagle here has won the British, Australian, Canadian Open championships, but he's never won a tournament in the United States. The fairway of the dogleg second hole, a par 4. Nagle's away. Nicely on, but 32 feet from the cup. Player really stays down on those irons. He's home. Player with a 35-foot putt. And he made it. It looks like Nagle will fall 2 behind very early in the round. Now Nagle from 32 feet. He gives it a chance. What a putt! Nagel matches Player's birdie. Player's approach to the par 4 7th. And now Nagel. And Nagel is inside again. But after Player makes 4, Kell runs his first putt 3 feet past. Three putts, and Player is now ahead by 4 strokes. On the 8th green, Player has a chance to enlarge his lead. Another birdie, 5 strokes ahead. On the 18th, there's out of bounds to the right, and Gary won't have any part of that. He aims the ball near the bunkers on the left, but hooks it into the trees. After playing a safety shot, Player can reach the green with an 8-iron. He's comfortably home now. Nagel's out of it. He couldn't make a putt after the 2nd hole, and Player gave away nothing until the very end. Player carefully brings it up close. He pauses in a momentary prayer of gratitude. Gary Player has won the Open. He has played this very demanding course in rounds of 70, 70, 71, 71, and today, another 71. Gary Player, Open champion.
The gallery, in a frenzy of excitement, breaks through the ropes. Palmer from the rough. He rips it out. A great effort. Casper makes sure he's up. 17 feet from the hole. Palmer putts downhill. Very wide. Arnold must putt again because of the continuous putting rule. A critical 3-footer. That puts it up to Casper. Billy could end it right now. No, it won't break that much. They're tied at 278, and there'll be an 18-hole playoff tomorrow. The playoff. After Palmer's chip, Casper starts his putt from 30 feet. Again, Casper is starting to charge on the back 9. Palmer needs this to retain the lead. They're tied. Still tied on the par 3 13th. Billy putts from all of 50 feet. Wow! He's taken the lead for the first time since the 2nd round. The last hole. Casper lost a stroke on 17. Isn't that something? Palmer was short. A good pitch. A par for a 72. Ever gracious, Arnold manages to respond to the acclamation. But imagine how disappointed he is. A birdie on the last hole for a 69. Casper has played 4 of 5 rounds in less than 70. One of the great achievements in the history of the Open.
I'll never forget the 3rd shot I played at the 18th hole. I know I had a 4-shot lead going to the last hole. And I felt like the only place I could get in trouble was if I hooked it off the tee and put it in the water. And so I played a 1-iron off the tee, and I said, I'm just going to play the hole for 5. And Hogan's record was a 4. I knew that. I said, if I give myself an opportunity for it, that's what all I'm going to do. And I hit it 1-iron off and ended up in some sort of funny place, and I ended up getting a drop. And I dropped it very poorly, and it was getting sort of dark, and only from the weather coming in. And I hit an 8-iron. I must have hit 3 inches behind it, trying to lay it up short of the lake, and I left it way back. Instead of leaving myself with a 4 or 5 iron to the green, I left myself with 238 yards. A little wind was coming up. It was in my face, uphill to that green over a bunker, and I don't know what possessed me, but I said, well, 1 iron. Anyway, it was probably the best 1 iron I ever hit. I absolutely nailed the 1 iron, carried the bunker, put it in about 22 feet short of the hole, and of course hold the putt to beat Hogan's record. And obviously that was a shot that I'll remember forever.
Here's Lee Trevino.
He's going right straight at the flag.
He hit the flagstick. Lee Trevino came very close to putting that ball into the hole on the fly.
It's home. Lee Trevino saves the par at 17 and preserves his 4-stroke lead over Jack Nicklaus, and that just about does it.
There's the man of the hour, Lee Trevino, Horizon City, Texas. Listen. This is for a par 4. There is your United States Open champion. The 18th tee. Moody is not the kind to steer it. Orville has hit a big and true drive. So long that he can use an 8-iron to reach the green on this 431-yard hole. And that's well played, too. Safely on. Two putts will do it. A little too cautious. He's left one of 14 inches. There it is. From obscurity to the very top of his world in less than 2 years. The 1969 United States Open champion, Orville Moody.